Don't lose momentum. The wind is rising.
So let's see how much does this do.
From the bow.
Oh my god, that's a lot of damage. 41,000. Moment of truth. Let's see if there's any damage here.
To the clap. The wind is rising.
Alright, how much can I do? How much can I do to Japan? That's crit. Woo. 22,000. Alright. So, let's see. With Yukong and everyone in the team.
Never dies.
So what do I do first? Let's apply a debuff to this guy on the right. Alright.
This is double speed.
This guy on the right. Boom. Okay. So now, we don't have the buff yet. So we're gonna try to apply Searing Bowstrings. And then we're gonna go Jingyuan. How much can our ultimate do? 2 guys. 2 robots. 21,000.
My enemy.
The wind
Okay.
is rising.
How about Yukong?
From the bow.
Can I have fun this time?
Yukong's ultimate is doing as much as Jingyuan's ultimate. Okay. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Hey, what is up guys? GuitarRock here. Welcome back to another Honkai Star Rail video. Man, Yukong is pretty insane. It's been 2 days since she was released and there's plenty of time for me to test her. And I can give you guys a little bit on what I think of her overall compared to a lot of other characters in the game. Now first things first, Yukong has pretty impressive base stats. So here's some comparison, right? So she has about 599 attack. So compared to a lot of other abundance characters, so let's compare to Tingyan. Tingyan has about 529. And then we can look at Bronya. Bronya is a 5-star by the way. And Bronya still has less attack compared to Yukong. S-star has about 511. So her attack stat is actually not bad. Even someone like Herta has less base attack than her, surprisingly. Alright, being an AoE. And Arlen has 599, which is the same amount with Yukong. Now, if you're comparing speed, Yukong is the second fastest Harmony character right after Tingyan. Tingyan is still the fastest at 112. Yukong has 107 base speed. So this is going to make her super easy to build. Bronya is 99 and S-star is 106. So she's quite easy to build with base with a little bit of speed boost if you want to go that route, right? Now Yukong's traces are pretty straightforward. This is what I like about her. I think she's pretty flexible in a lot of ways. So if you look at her skill and her ultimate, so the skill, she does this thing that gives you a roaring bowstrings, 2 stacks. So when this thing is active, the attack of everyone increased by 60%. This at level 6. It's gonna go even higher. I believe up to 80% at level 10, right? However, every time an ally turn ends, she will lose 1 stack of roaring bowstrings. So one important thing here is when it's the turn where Yukong gains roaring bowstrings by using skill, the bowstrings will not be removed, which is cool. So 2 stacks by in general, that's what she will get. If you use her technique, you gotta keep in mind that she will have these 2 stacks of roaring bowstrings, but you cannot swap away to a different character. So basically, if you cast the technique, you have to use her to shoot the arrow. So you cannot swap to another character or else the stack will be lost. Now her ultimate, however, synergizes with her skill. You can see whenever the roaring bowstring is active, when she uses ultimate, everybody gets 26% crit rate, 58% crit damage. Now this is a significant boost to everyone's output damage in general. And keep in mind, the ultimate skill from any of your character does not take 1 roaring bowstrings away. So that's something to keep in mind. And yeah, you can see she also does insane amount of damage to a single enemy. Yes, it's a single target, but my god, that damage is insane. I do like this buff overall, 60% attack, and also she gives a fixed amount of crit rate and crit damage. So she doesn't scale upon anything. You know how like Bronya's ultimate, so Bronya herself need to have a lot of crit damage to be able to give allies a bunch of crit damage. So same applies for Tingyan in a way. Tingyan's skill scales off her attack in a way, her current attack. Now Yukong is probably easier to build if you're looking in terms of flexibility. She has a lot of options since she doesn't need to build a specific stat because none of her skill or her ultimate scales off any of those stats, right? That's what gives her a lot of flexibility in my humble opinion. That's what makes her really, really unique and less restrictive in terms of her relics. Now, is she flexible and easy to fit into a lot of teams? That's going to be something that we need to talk about. The truth is, right now you can see, because of this particular skill, where she basically she needs to cast the roaring bowstring, everyone in the team will get 60% of attack. Now, you want her to move first, followed by your damage dealers right after that. because your damage dealers will be able to benefit from this 60% attack. So if you put her in a team where, let's say, it's your tank that moves right after her, the tank will be the one that gets the 60% of increased attack in this case. And therefore, it's a little bit of a waste because you lose one stack and you're not benefiting from the damage as much. So she's a little bit less flexible in that sense. You have to build a team around her in the point that she's always going to go first, and then you have the damage dealers going right after her. So you have to like sort of adjust that accordingly. So for team synergy wise, she might be harder to use if you're like completely new to the game. I can see that if you don't have much team to play around with, she's going to be a little bit more finicky in that sense. Now, as for her Eidolons, this is where some of these are going to make her even stronger than it is, alright, just like with a lot of characters. E1, she gets this particular one right here. You can see at the start of the battle, everybody's speed increased by 10% for 2 turns. Yes, this is only useful in the beginning of the battle, I understand that, but again, this is going to be a big deal entering the memory of chaos, especially the first 2 turns. If you can boost your character to move faster, it ramps up, right? And then moving on to the E2, you can see Yukong regenerates additional 5 energy when anyone in your team reach their maximum energy and has ultimate basically. So this effect can only be triggered once, of course, after Yukong casts her ultimate. So pretty good synergy with her overall. Energy boost in general, make sure that she gets her ultimate faster. I would say the E2 is pretty good right here. Alright, the E4 is going to make her even crazier. Alright, when she has Roaring Bowstrings, which is her skill, she will be able to do 30% more damage. And that's huge, particularly for her. If you're building her in terms of her damage, that is going to be a significant boost for sure. And her E6 gives her 1 stack of Roaring Bowstrings when she casts ultimate. Now let's talk about Light Cones, which is going to be the best one for Yukong. Now let's talk about Bronya's Light Cone. This particular one, she can benefit from the energy regeneration rate 10%, but the 1 skill point when the wearer uses ultimate on an ally, that's not going to apply to her because she's using it on the enemy, right? So per se, this is not going to be the best choice. If you look at the 4-star option, now we have a few different ones. I do personally think that Carve the Moon with the Clouds is going to be the best one. If you purchase the Battle Pass, this is going to be the best light cone for her. Followed by Dance Dance Dance. I think these two are probably the best light cones for her interchangeably. Although Carve the Moon with the Clouds, the reason why I prefer this one is because if you look at this particular light cone, it has the extra stats, alright, attack 21, whereas Dance 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 gives slightly less attack. So at level 80, Carve the Moon with the Clouds do give slightly more base stats in terms of attack. Now as for past and future, I don't really like this as much. So she used the skill, the next ally taking action will deal 16% increased damage. Now while you can sort of build a team around her, sometimes in the battle, you might get frozen and you might get CC'd by the enemy. And if your tank is the one that moves after her, or if your debuffer is the one that moves after her instead of your damage dealer, you're not able to benefit from the increased damage as much. This set is just way better on Bronya than on her. Now for relics, I do prefer to go damage because like I mentioned, since none of her skill scales off either crit rate, crit damage or whatsoever, so she's pretty flexible in that sense. I do like going for 2 pieces of Musketeer of Wildwit and then 2 pieces of Wastelander of Banditry Desert. Now, the truth is, I thought of going 4 pieces of Musketeer of Wildwit, but after using her for a while, you're almost never going to use her basic attack. Most of the time, you're going to just rotate between her skill. Every time when she has a turn available, you want to use her skill because her skill just gives way more. 60% attack boost, or depending on your level, it can go up to 70 or 80%. That's just way more valuable to buff someone else than to increase her own attack damage by 10%. As for this particular one, the imaginary damage 10% definitely helps her to do even more damage, putting her role as a damage dealer. Now for the 4 piece of this one, I don't think it's that bad. However, you might not be able to get the crit damage increase unless you have well or something, because you need to be able to make the enemies imprison, and you know, you gotta have multiple imaginary characters to have the synergy. Right now, we just don't have that many characters. I can see the 4-piece having potential in the future, but for now, it just feels a bit lacking. So I do recommend going for 2 pieces of Wastelander and 2 pieces of Musketeer of Wildwit. Now, as for the planar ornament, there's multiple choices right here. If you are going for pure support, this is going to be the best one for sure, right? Fleet of Ageless. I do think that this one increased max HP of her own, and everyone's attack increased by 8%. But I prefer to run her with damage, considering her damage potential is pretty high. So I prefer to go for Innate Sasotto, where she can get the crit rate by 8% and also increase her ultimate damage by 15%. Alright, her ultimate does a lot of damage, she has a lot of multiplier, which is why I do prefer this set overall. Now as you can see, my gears are kind of scuffed right now. The relics are not super optimized yet. I do have decent stats, 42% crit rate, 96% crit damage, but still trying to get better ones. So this is what I have on the headpiece. So this one I did roll on a bunch of crit damage right there, pretty lucky. And then I have this particular one which gives her a little bit of speed. If you can get her speed up to 134 and above, that's going to be very beneficial. So this is a speed boost that I'm running on her for the time being. Hopefully in the future I'll get a better one, but for now this will do. And then I have a crit rate percent. Alright, so if you have enough substats for crit rate, you don't have to use the crit rate percent as much, but right now I do not have good crit rate percent yet. So hopefully I'm trying to see if I can improve my substats overall. Now right now, this particular piece, imaginary damage boost, obviously you want to go for that to boost the damage even more. And this particular one, I am trying my best to get energy regeneration. I think that's going to be more important overall. This is just a placeholder for the time being. I don't have energy regeneration for this particular piece. So still trying to get that for the time being. But yeah, that's pretty much Yukong and how I'm building her right now. Alright, so that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a like. Have a nice day. Goodbye.